Krishna, welcome to today we continuing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 9, Answers by citing the Lord's Version. We try to understand Shloka Kramanka 8 and 9. Here, in this Shloka, we try to understand hearing the divine sound and entering the Lord's abode. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam
Narayanam namaskrityam
namaskrityam
naram
naram
chaiva
chaiva
narottamam devim
devim
saraswatim
saraswatim
vyasam
vyasam
tato
tato jayam udiret
jayamudire
nashtaprayeshu
nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu
abhadreshu
nityam
nityam bhagavata
bhagavata
sevaya
sevaya bhagavati
bhagavati uttama
uttama shloke
shloke
bhakti
bhaktir bhavati
bhavati
naistiki.
naistiki.
Hare Krishna. Shlok 8 and 9. Divyam sasra abdam amog adarshana.
Divyam sahasrabdam amoga adarshana.
Amog darshana. Amog darshana. Ajita anil atma vijita ubhaya indriya.
जीत अनिलात्मा विजित उभय इंद्रियः
अतप्यत स्म अखिल लोक तापनम
अतप्यत स्म लखिल लोकतापनम
तप तपियान तपताम समाहित
तपः तपीयान् तपतां समाहितः
तस्मै स्वलोकम भगवान सभाजितः
तस्मै स्वलोकं भगवान् सभाजित
संदर्शयाम आस परम न यत्परम
संदर्शयामास परं न यत्परम्
वेपेत संक्लेश विमोह साध्वसम
व्यपेत संक्लेश विमोह साध्वसम्
स्वदृष्टवद्भिः
साध्वसम् साध्वसम् ओके
स्वदृष्टवद्भिः पुरुषैः अभिष्टुतम्
स्वदृष्ट अब्धिः पुरुषैः अभिष्टुतम्
दिव्यं सहस्र अब्दम अमोघ दर्शनः
देव्यं सहस्राब्दम् अमोघ दर्शनः
जित अनिल आत्मा विजित उभय इंद्रियः
जीत अनिल आत्मा विजितो भय इंद्रियः
अतप्यत स्म अखिल लोक तापनम
अतप्यत् स्म अखिल लोकतापनम्
तपः तपीयान तपतान समाहितः
तपः तपीयान् तपतां समाहितः
तस्मै स्वलोकं भगवान सभाजितः
तस्मै स्वलोकं भगवान् सभाजितः
संदर्शयाम आस परमं न यत्परम संदर्शयामास
सभाजितः संदर्शयामास परं न यत्परम्
व्यपत संक्लेश विमोह साध्वसम
व्यपेत संक्लेश विमोह साध्वसम्
स्वदृष्टवद्भिः पुरुषैः अभिष्टुतम्
स्वदृष्टवद्भिः पुरुषैः अभीष्टुतम्
दिव्यं सहस्र अब्दम अमोघ दर्शनः जीत अनिल आत्मा विजित उभय इंद्रियः अतपेत स्म किल लोकतापनम् तपः तपीयान् तपतां समाहितः तस्मै स्वलोकं भगवान् सभाजितः संदर्शयाम आस परम न यत्परम वेपेत संक्लेश विमोह साध्वसम स्वदृष्टवद्भिः पुरुषैः अभिष्टुतम्. हरे कृष्ण.
दिव्यं सहस्राब्धम् अमोघ दर्शनः जीत अनिलात्म विजित उभय इंद्रियः अतप्यत् स्म अखिल लोकतापनम् तपः तपीयान् तपतां समाहितः तस्मै स्वलोकं भगवान् सभाजित् स दर्शयान्मास परं न यत्परं व्यपेत संक्लेश विमोह साध्वसं स्वदृष्टवद्भिः पुरुषैः अभिष्टुतम्.
Translation and purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma underwent penances for 1000 years by the calculation of the demigod. He heard this transcendental vibration from the sky and he accepted it as divine. Thus, he controlled his mind and senses, and the penances he executed were a great lesson from the giving entity. Thus, he is known as the greatest of all ascetics. The personality of Godhead, being thus very much satisfied with the penance of Lord Brahma, was pleased to manifest his personal abode, Vaikuntha, the supreme planet above all others. This transcendental abode of the Lord is adored by all self-realized persons, freed from all kinds of miseries and fear of illusory existence. Purport by the Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma heard the occult sound tapa, but he did not see person who vibrated the sound, and still he accepted the instruction as beneficial for him, and therefore he engaged himself in meditation for 1000 years. His acceptance of the sound was due to his pure vision of the absolute nature of the Lord, and due to his correct vision, he made no distinction between the Lord and the Lord's instruction. There is no difference between the Lord and sound vibration coming from him, even though he is not personally present. The best way of understanding is to accept such divine instruction. And Brahma, the prime spiritual master of everyone, is the living example of this process of receiving transcendental knowledge. The potency of transcendental sound is never minimized because the vibrator is apparently absent. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or any revealed scripture in the world is never to be accepted as an ordinary mundane sound without transcendental potency. One has to receive the transcendental sound from the right source, accept it as a reality, and prosecute the direction without hesitation. The secret of success is to receive the sound from the right source of a bona fide spiritual master. A mundane manufactured sound has no potency, and as such, seemingly transcendental sound received from an unauthorized person who has no potency. One should be qualified enough to discern such transcendental potency, and either by discriminating or by fortunate chance, if one is able to receive the transcendental sound from the bona fide spiritual master, his path of liberation is guaranteed. The disciple, however, must be ready to execute the order of the bona fide spiritual master, as Lord Brahma executed the instruction of his spiritual master, the Lord himself, following the order of the bona fide spiritual master as the only duty of the disciple, and his complete faithful execution of the order of bona fide spiritual master is the secret of success. Lord Brahma controlled his two grades of senses by means of sense perception and sense organs, because he had to engage such senses in the execution of the order of the Lord. Therefore, controlling the senses, meaning engaging them in transcendental service of the Lord. The Lord's order descends in disciplic succession through the bona fide spiritual master, and thus execution of the order of the bona fide spiritual master is factual control of the senses. Such execution of penance in full faith and sincerity made Brahmaji so powerful that he became the creator of the universe. And because he was able to attain such power, he is called the best amongst all the tapasvis. The troubles of penance accepted by the Lord Brahma were certainly in the line of devotional service bhakti. Otherwise, there was no chance that Vaikuntha or Lokam, the Lord's personal abode, would become visible to Brahmaji. The personal abode of the Lord, known as Vaikunthas, are neither mythical nor material as conceived by the impersonalists, but realization of the transcendental abodes of the Lord is possible only through devotional service, and thus the devotees enter into such abode. There is undoubtedly trouble in executing penance, but the trouble accepted in executing bhakti yoga is transcendental happiness from the very beginning, whereas the trouble of penance in other processes of self-realization, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, etc., without any Vaikuntha realization, ends in trouble only and nothing more. There is no profit in biting husk without grain. Similarly, there is no profit in executing troublesome penances other than Bhakti Yoga for self-realization. Executing Bhakti Yoga is exactly like sitting on the lotus sprout out of the abdomen of the transcendental personality of Godhead. For Lord Brahma was seated there. Brahmaji was able to please the Lord, and the Lord was also pleased to show Brahmaji his personal abode. Srila Ji Goswami, in the comments of his Kramasandarbha annotation of Srimad Bhagavatam, cites quotations from the Garga Upanishad Vedic evidence. It is said that Yajnavalkya described the transcendental abode of the Lord to Gargi, and that the abode of the Lord is situated above the highest planet of the universe, namely Brahmaloka. This abode of the Lord, although described in revealed scripture like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, remains only a myth for the less intelligent class of men with a poor fund of knowledge. Herein, the word swa Drushtavadbihi is very significant. One who has actually realized his self realizes the transcendental form of one's self. Impersonal realization of self and the supreme is not complete because it is just an opposite conception of material personality. The personality of Godhead and the personalities of devotee of the Lord are transcendental. They do not have material bodies. The material body is overcast with five kinds of miserable conditions, namely ignorance, material conception, attachment, hatred, and absorption. As long as one is overwhelmed by these five kinds of material misery, there is no question of entering into the Vaikuntha Loka. The impersonal conception of oneself is just the negation of material personality and is far from the positive existence of personal form. The personal form of the transcendental abode will be explained in the following verse. Brahmaji also described in the highest planet of the Vaikuntha Loka as Golok Vrindavan, where the Lord resides as a cowherd boy, keeping transcendental Usuri cows and surrounded by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Chintamani prakar sadma sukalp vruksha laksha vruteषु सुरभिः अभिपालयन्तम् लक्ष्मी सहस्रशत संभ्रम सेव्यमानं गोविंदम आदि पुरुषम तम अहम भजामि. Brahma Sita 5.29. The statement of the Bhagavad Gita, Yad Gatva Nanivartante Taddham Paramam Mama, is also confirmed here with Param means transcendental Brahman. Therefore, one, the abode of the Lord is also Brahman, non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord is known as Vaikuntha, and his abode is also known as Vaikuntha. Such Vaikuntha realization and worship can be made possible by transcendental form and sense. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guroho श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्विताञ्च नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा. Today we continue Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd, Chapter 9, answers by citing the Lord's version, and we try to understand Shloka Kramanka 8 and 9. Here, in Shloka Kramanka 8, they describe about the Brahma doing the penance, how much time? Thousands, 1000 years of the calculation of the demigods. And then he heard, we know last shlokas, he or the ta and pa, two letters, and then he understand that God given him to do the tapasya. So he sit down and do the tapasya. And here they describe that uh, the controlling the senses means engaging them in the transcendental service of the Lord. And here Brahma control his senses two ways, means sense of perception and sense organ, because he had to engage the senses in the execution of the order of the Lord. And in 9 shlokas, the personality of Godhead, satisfied with his penance, and then he, Supreme Personality, saw him his own Vaikuntha Golok, and where there is no misery and no fear of illusory existence. Prabhuji will tell us in nicely. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we are talking about hearing the divine sound and how entering the Lord's abode becomes possible the moment we have received this bewildered-he. So Brahmaji had faith in this divine instruction. When he was bewildered at the dawn of creation, he could only see darkness and the vast expanse of water. And then suddenly, from the sky, Akashvani, he heard the mysterious transcendental sound, tapa, but he could not see the speaker. But still, he accepted the instruction as divine and immediately began his penance. He did not speculate, he did not argue, he did not ask for any proof. His pure intelligence allowed him to understand that this sound vibration was not different from Supreme Lord himself. And so, without hesitation, Brahmaji sat on his lotus seat, engaged in meditation and austerity for 1000 celestial years. So, Prabhupada gives the calculation that it equals to 2,160,000,000,000 human years. Now, what does this 1000 celestial years mean? That becomes a question in the purport, as you can see. It is clearly mentioned by Prabhupada ji how that calculation arises. Now, 6 months of human life is equal to
1 day.
1 day of celestial, the demigods. So, that is why 6 into 30 is 1 day of the demigods. And
1 night also counts.
then you have it for 12 years. 12 months. 12 months. So that is how 12, and in this way he lived 1000 years.
There is no taking the
So that is
night.
How, yeah. So this is how it is calculated. So this act of faith, it marks the beginning of spiritual realization, and Brahmaji became the first disciple, demonstrating how we must receive transcendental sound and act upon it. So actually what becomes evident here is that there is no difference between the Lord and his sound. Bhagavatam teaches us this vital truth, that Krishna and his words, they are not different from each other. Even though the speaker may not be visible, the transcendental potency of the Lord's vibration, it is always intact. And same principle applies to Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, or the other Vedas, which are the revealed scriptures. Because they are not mundane sounds, they are living spiritual energy which is descending from the Supreme himself. So when we hear with faith, with devotion, and if you are hearing it from right source, then these divine words, they awaken the dormant Krishna consciousness within the heart. So Srila Prabhupada says that mundane words has no potency, but transcendental sound received from authorized person, it has potency. And if you take it from unauthorized person, then no potency. And that is why we must always hear from a bona fide spiritual master. So hearing from authentic guru in disciplic succession is the secret of success in spiritual life. And the other secret is obedience. Brahmaji accepted the order without question. He performed austerity with faith. So this obedience purified him. So Krishna empowered him because he was prepared for the divine revelation. So Lord's order always transcends through his bona fide representatives. And when we execute their instructions with sincerity, our senses become automatically controlled. And true control is not by suppression, but by engagement in devotional service. Prabhupada ji was talking on this topic in UK, and at that time he told his disciples that how it is important that they recite the verses in appropriate meter, learn them, and continue the recitations. So everyone was shocked. Oh, Prabhupada ji, we have to speak. He said, yes, because instructions have to be followed. Because now it is very easy. Sanskrit is not difficult. There is transliteration. There is also translation. So you can say as it is. And then he said, I have also given you Pradyumna. So he is also here now. Yeah, Pradyumna. So he was one of the disciples of Prabhupada ji. So he says that he is also here now. So he'll also guide you. And in fact, he told from today evening only, in the evening programs, now the disciples will speak and I will add up whenever necessary. So that is how Prabhupada ji also transmitted the same message and brought about the same kind of development in all the disciples. And automatically everyone became very, very purified. In the discussions, they were talking about how earth no longer is being visited by the celestial demigods, because this talks about the 1,000 years of celestial time frame meditation by Brahmaji. So then everyone asked, why is it happening? So he said, you look at your WCs. WC is wash closet. So he said, you feel that you have made an advancement, but actually demigods find that this is useless. They have got million times more advanced, more materialistic objects. So they don't find coming here anymore useful, because bhakti which used to be here is no longer here. So true sense control is not by separation, but by engagement in devotional service. And following the instruction of Guru with faith is the highest form of tapasya. So this faithful execution made Brahmaji so powerful that he became the creator of the universe, and hence he is also called as best of the ascetics. And then he got the reward of his bhakti, which is revelation of Vaikuntha. So after 1,000 celestial years of tapasya, Lord became pleased with Brahma's devotion, and he revealed his personal abode, Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha, which is the supreme planet above all others. So Vaikuntha is not imaginary or material, as impersonalists generally claim. It is actually spiritual. It is self-effulgent. It is free from all misery, ignorance, fear. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Srila Ji Goswami ji cites this. Yajnavalkya describes Vaikuntha as existing above Brahmaloka, and that this abode can be realized only through bhakti yoga, never through direct penance, speculation, or meditation. And that is why in Bhagavatam also we find it is mentioned that there is no profit in beating empty husks. Similarly, there is no benefit in troublesome penances other than bhakti yoga. Because bhakti yoga is the only fruitful process. The Lord's abode, the Vaikunthas, they are accessible only through devotional service. Dhyan, yoga,
And
tapasya, they may
Okay.
bring some temporary elevation. But if there is no devotion, they end only in frustration and fatigue. The effort involved in bhakti yoga, on the other hand, is spiritual joy right from the beginning. So, devotees, all the difficulties become blissful because everything is done out of love for Krishna. So, Bhagavatam says that no penance other than bhakti gives true profit. And the transcendental form of the Lord then becomes very easily accessible. So when Brahma realized Vaikuntha world, he saw Lord's transcendental form. It was eternally youthful. It was full of bliss, full of knowledge. The Lord, his devotees, they are not made of material elements. Like currently, we have got these five miseries: the ignorance, material conception, attachment, hatred, absorption in matter. So as long as we are covered by these five miseries, we cannot enter Vaikuntha. And the impersonal realization that the self is formless is incomplete. Because real liberation means attaining eternal spiritual identity, which is loving service to Krishna. The Golok Vrindavan is the supreme planet, even beyond the Vaikunthas. It is the highest, where Krishna resides as a cowherd boy. He is surrounded by countless Surbi cows, thousands of goddesses of fortune, that is Lakshmis. Prabhupada cites that 29th shloka of the Brahma Samhita. So, that verse gives us a glimpse of the eternal world, which is full of wish fulfilling trees, spiritual jewels, and divine law. And the essence of Bhagavad Gita is the path to Vaikuntha. Krishna himself reveals it in Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, 54th and 55th shloka, wherein he tells Arjuna that, my dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you. Only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. And then he further says that he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from contaminations of fruitive activity and speculation, who works for me, makes me supreme goal of life, is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. So this is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. So if we desire to reach Golok, we must follow this formula: selfless devotion, working for Krishna, and living only to please him. So what is required is Krishna karma, working only for the Lord, not even nishkam karma, not even akam karma, Krishna karma. True success lies in engaging one's work for Krishna's pleasure. A devotee may be a businessman, worker, farmer, but all activities have to be for Krishna's satisfaction, not for sense enjoyment. We can build a house, but if we do it for oneself, then it is bondage. But if we build a temple for Krishna, it brings liberation. And even a poor person can serve Krishna by growing tulsi, offering water. Patram pushpam phalam toyam. That is what Krishna expects. And such acts, they transform every moment into bhakti. And this is called Krishna karma, working for Lord without attachment to results. We already know about the Navvidha Bhakti, the 9 processes of devotion. So devotee can engage in one or more 9 limbs: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Padsyavanam, Vandanam, Dasyam. And even practicing one sincerely leads to perfection and entrance into Vaikuntha. So the practical lessons from Brahma's example is that: 1, hear from the right source. Just like Brahmaji heard from Lord, we must hear from bona fide spiritual master. 2nd, have faith and obey. Brahmaji did not question, he directly acted. 3rd, control the senses through engagement. True self-control means using the senses in service of the Lord. 4th, bhakti alone reveals the Lord's abode. Other processes are dry and unfulfilling. And 5th, always remember that Krishna is the goal. Even in work, family, study, everything can be dovetailed for his pleasure. The penance of Brahma was not ordinary austerity, it was an act of loving obedience, bhakti in its purest form. So when the Lord saw Brahma's sincerity, he revealed Vaikuntha, spiritual world beyond illusion. Similarly, when a devotee sincerely follows the instruction of Guru, engages his senses in Krishna's service, same Vaikuntha manifests in the heart. In Bhagavad Gita, it is already declared, Yad Gatva Nanivartante Tad Dhama Paramam Mama. So once reaching my supreme abode, one never returns to this material world. So through faith, obedience, devotional service, every soul can follow Parma's path from darkness to light, from confusion to realization, from matter to eternal world of love. That is to Golok Vrindavan.